Hi there, my name's Emma. I'm a professional pencil artist, founder of the Learn Realism Drawing School, and these are some of my drawings. I've had a busy week working on my latest drawing, and I've been thinking a lot about self-belief. Believe in yourself is one of those phrases that gets thrown around so much it starts to lose its meaning. And this is a real shame because it quite literally is one of the most powerful things when it comes to getting anything done. So I thought I'd share my thoughts on this topic today because it really is critical when it comes to making art, learning how to draw, and in so many other areas of life. Before we jump in case you're curious, the drawing you're seeing come together here is the project I'm currently working on. This is the first in a series of 7 drawings I'll be completing, and I'll give you some more context on this drawing soon. For now, what I can tell you is that whilst this might look quite simple, it's actually been a very technically challenging piece so far due to the extremely dark and nuanced tones in the drawing. I work primarily in graphite, which doesn't go all the way down to black. It only goes to a dark grey colour, but we can combine it with other pencils like carbon to achieve black tones. Doing this with really smooth dark gradients over a very large area is quite fiddly, and so I've been really pushing myself with this drawing, but I think it's coming together well so far. Before I started drawing this piece, I wasn't 100% confident I'd be able to achieve this level of nuance in the drawing. However, and this is really important, I've faced many drawing challenges in the past, and I've always found a solution and achieved results I'm happy with. So, going into this drawing, I had the self-belief that I would find a way. I trusted myself with the challenge, and as a result, I didn't get super stressed by it. There have been moments where little mistakes have happened, little imperfections that I don't like, but I believe in myself that I can overcome these as I have done many times before. It might seem that self-belief isn't actually relevant when it comes to getting results, but let's look at an example, absolutely nothing to do with drawing, but what if no one had ever believed that humans could walk on the moon? If no one had ever believed it was possible, no one would have tried. No one would have bothered. No one would have conducted research into rocket science or developed the computers needed to achieve the task. If no one had believed it was possible, I think there is a 100% chance it wouldn't have happened. But someone did believe, and it was an absolutely colossal task. It took an estimated 400,000 people nearly 10 years to make it happen. But they did put people on the moon, which completely blows my mind. Every time I look at the moon, I am astonished that people managed to get there and then get back safely. Now, you and I aren't trying to land on the moon, but we are trying to do other, simpler things. For example, maybe you're learning to draw or trying to master hyperrealism. I think there's a chance this might be the case because you're watching this video. So, if you're trying to learn something and you don't have the self-belief that you might be able to actually achieve your goal, what impact is that going to have on you? I'll tell you, if you don't have self-belief, you're sabotaging yourself before you've even started. This is the power of self-belief. It's not that self-belief in isolation will be the thing that gets you the results, but without it, you're unlikely to persevere long enough to succeed. So, what can you do if you're struggling with a lack of self-belief? Well, the first thing I can suggest is a small shift in mindset. Self-belief isn't necessarily thinking, I know I'll succeed. That can feel quite unrealistic and maybe even overwhelming. Instead, self-belief can look like something much simpler. Trusting yourself to figure it out. And this is exactly how I feel about drawing. I don't always sit down thinking, this is definitely going to be perfect, but I do trust that I'll find a way through. So the question becomes, where does that trust come from? And the answer is evidence. If you're learning a new skill, like drawing, look at what you've already learned in your life. You learned how to speak, read, and write, which is actually an incredible achievement when you think about it. Learning a language is no small feat, and you did that as a child. You're watching this video, so you learned how to use a phone or a computer, which honestly is far more complicated than we might realise. Watching my grandma learn how to use her laptop really highlighted that for me. Maybe you've learned how to drive, how to cook, how to adapt to new situations. This is all evidence. Evidence that you learned difficult things before and you figured them out. And that's exactly what builds self-belief. I'm currently learning how to rollerblade, which is slightly terrifying because I can very easily hurt myself, and honestly, I'm not very good at it yet. but I trust that with practice, I will improve because I've improved before in other areas of my life. So even if I'm not confident right now, I still have that belief that I can get there. And that leads on to the next thing I'd suggest. Start anyway. Don't wait until you feel ready or confident, just begin. Because self-belief doesn't usually come before action, it comes from it. This is where small wins become really important. For example, if you're learning to draw and you just show up for 10 minutes a day for a week, you've already proven something to yourself. You've proven that you can be consistent, and that builds trust. And that trust builds self-belief. Over time, that consistency is what actually leads to progress. Now, of course, you want to be practicing the right things, getting guidance, learning effectively, but at its core, it's really about showing up. And finally, there's one more piece to this, which is uncertainty. Because a lot of the time, the thoughts that can come up in our mind are things like, can I actually do this? Or what if I'm not good enough? It's really important to understand that uncertainty is a completely normal part of learning something new. It's not a sign to stop, it's actually a sign that you're pushing yourself, which is great because that's where we grow. So instead of asking, can I do this? Try reframing that to, how can I figure this out? It shifts you from feeling doubt into problem solving. And if the thought, what if I'm not good enough, comes up, try replacing it with, I'm learning something difficult. Because that's what's actually happening. I said at the start of the video that believe in yourself is one of those phrases that gets thrown around so much it starts to lose its meaning. But I hope that maybe the thoughts I've shared here today highlight just how important believing in yourself can be, especially when it comes to learning and trying new things. So, if you're in that place right now where you're not sure if you can actually do it, just remember, you don't need to have it all figured out, you just need to trust that you can. I hope you found this helpful and that you've enjoyed seeing the progress I made on my drawing this week. This is where I got up to. The next section is where the drawing starts to get quite exciting. So I'm looking forward to sharing this with you soon, and I'll be back with more drawing related stuff next week. Let me know in the comments if there's anything you'd like me to talk about or any questions you have, and I might make a video about it in the future. If you'd like more from me, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next one.